Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of A Look Beyond the Continent. Our primary focus will be on our favorite competitive card game, Gwent, but also having conversations on topics such as social media growth, business advice, everyday life, and of course, the Witcher universe. So far, we have done revealed reviews of the latest Gwent Price of Power expansion called the Harvest of Sorrow for Scoia'tael and Nilfgaard. In today's episode, we discuss the latest reveal for Syndicate. So, Ezra's, how are you finding the new cards? Are you excited for Syndicate?
Um, I'd say there's maybe some high expectations for Syndicate just because, we've gotten Witchfinder and then we got Horson Jr. just like basically just taking over the Syndicate meta. You still have Drill, dominating as always. So like the expectation was set pretty high for them to try to come up with something in this expansion. And I don't know if it's something that people expected because, we knew that they were going to be getting a bounty focused set. Um, but it just determined. I guess it just mattered. Like, okay, how good was bounty going to get along the way?
Yeah, so we have four new cards. And initially, when I saw these cards, I was like, okay, definitely it's for the bounty archetype for sure. We saw a little bit of a focus on it maybe in the last season or two, especially when the Witchfinder came out. But we do see her make another appearance for this latest expansion.
Right.
So the first card we have here, and I'm just going by the order on the website, but we have a rare card, and it's a special card, and it's Purge, also a crime card. So damage an enemy unit by 3, increase the damage by 1 for every witch hunter on your side of the battlefield. Death blow, place a bounty on the highest power enemy unit, and this card is a 5 provision cost. So we can
See
already
now
see
this
that
card, yeah, like this looks like it could be a good card.
I thought that initially too when I saw this
Like
because
if you think about it, if you have a full board of witch hunters, I mean, I'm not saying that that's not easy to do, but if you hypothetically had a lot, that this could play for a lot of value because you're getting a big bounty payoff as well as damage.
mhm. Yeah, if you were able to populate your board, so I'm just looking at the cards that are classified as a witch hunter. We've got the vigilantes, which that came out. Which was it? I think a couple of expansions ago. I could be mistaken.
Yes, I think they came out the same
Um,
time as Witchfinder.
yeah, so
I
we have the
believe that
vigilante.
came out the same set.
I actually find the vigilantes a very handy 4 provision bronze card. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but they're very handy. Like especially if you've got two of them on the board, and then you place a bounty with I guess like even if you play it with the Witchfinder, and it automatically places a bounty on the highest power enemy unit. Then that's
Right.
automatically 2 points off. And then if you got the Confession Extractor in the graveyard, but that's a bit much. But basically, like they just take off points off for your enemy as soon as a bounty hits. So I find it very useful. So we have the Vigilantes, obviously the Witch Hunter Executioner. So I guess if you play like a couple or 3, 4 bronzes on your side of the board, you get a lot of value for this Purge special card.
Another thing I noticed too with Purge, and I don't know if this reduces the value or makes it better, but Purge is also, if it gets a death blow, and like I said, it does place a bounty on the highest power unit,
Mm-hmm.
it does set up a grading very nicely. Because you most likely want to use
Yeah,
grading on the tallest unit.
I mean that. When I thought of this though, and this is just my initial thoughts, but when you say if you played a death blow, um,
Hmm.
if your opponent's highest power enemy unit is something ridiculous, like I don't know, something anything above, I would say like a 15. If you're not using Graydon, for example, because Graydon obviously it just destroys that unit. Or even what's his name? Morels. I think he would be useful
Yep.
too, right? If we were, but yeah, so I was thinking like if you didn't have those cards and you were trying to get the bounty value for a tall enemy unit, it can be difficult without those cards. So I'd say like if this did happen where you got a death blow and the highest power was for your enemy was like a 15, you would definitely need to run like a Graydon or a Morels to destroy that enemy unit in the cheapest way
Right.
possible because yeah, like if you had spenders on the board, you'd be spending coins to try and get rid of that enemy unit with the bounty. So
Yeah,
also
like I said, like
thinking back to
these cards, or this particular card has a high ceiling, but it does require a lot of setup for you to increase that damage with death blow.
yeah, and just thinking too, like if you were playing this card in conjunction with Witchfinder, then it would if you did the death blow, then it would override the Witchfinder's ability, if I'm not mistaken, because it would
Like
just place it
Witchfinder
on
will
that.
not place a
Yeah,
bounty. Yeah, it's
yeah, but
basically
she
the
does
same
the
thing
highest
because
power enemy unit.
Witchfinders,
Yeah,
yeah. And if there's already a
so I
bounty on
think
the
that's
board,
the
Witchfinder is just sitting there.
I think that's the only consideration for this card. But all in all, when I saw this card, I thought this card was great.
Yeah, and that premium looks like it'll be nice. I can already see it.
Yeah.
I can see that background like a thunder or a rainstorm.
Mm.
And is that like
I can't
water?
wait
I
to
believe
see.
he's spraying water on his face. What is he doing? Or is that oh, it's a net. Okay.
Do you think it'd be so innocent as to spraying water on his face?
Yeah, I mean,
And in the
you
Witcher.
never know. Like the Chinese version, they have for the scoundrel, it shows him shoving a carrot into the guy's mouth, or into the goat's mouth. So it's like I don't know. I could see them probably throwing water on that for that card. But yeah, okay. So it looks like doo doo actually, if you think about it.
I
Yeah, I think
haven't
that's doo
zoomed in
doo
on it,
on the
but
ground.
I mean, the
It
premium
looks
version
like
of this
him.
card would look cool, for sure.
I'm pretty sure that's doo doo. Huh. Okay.
Uh, Moving on to the next card, we have a legendary card, which is the Brute. Uh, it's a human and a witch hunter as well. So we have 6 power points and 13 provision cost, so a very expensive card. Profit starts at 0,
Yes.
deploy, boost self by 0. So boost is equal to the base power of the last destroyed enemy unit with a bounty. Whenever you place a bounty on an enemy unit, increase this unit's profit by 1. Okay, my first thoughts. This feels like a card you would play in round 3. Like, I don't think you'd get much value in playing this in round 1. You would have to place the bounties first, so in conjunction maybe with like a Witchfinder or even Caleb Menge, placing as many bounties on your enemies to try and get the profit. Up to a 9, possibly. And then, I mean, the boost is very conditional in my opinion. It says equal to the base power of the last destroyed enemy unit with a bounty. So if you don't calculate this correctly, where you accidentally kill off, I don't know, like a 3-point card, then his boost will only be like a 3. But then he still would become, a 9-point card. So it's not too bad. But I guess if you wanted to get the full value for this card, you would have to calculate this carefully where, the last bounty you placed was actually on something decent.
Yeah, like I don't know how I feel about this card. I think it's very, very conditional. Not only does it all require everything to be set up with a bounty, but like if it's, let's just say, like you said, if it is a round 3 card and you happen to just uh destroy, a boat or like in a mirror match, a boat or a token or whatever, then it's not really getting a lot of boost. Um, And then, whenever you do place a bounty, increase the unit's profit by 1. So that would mean for this card to actually get any decent value with profit, you'd have to place at least 6 or 7 bounties. That's kind of hard to do throughout the entire game because there
I
isn't that many times you
mm,
can place a bounty without actually spending the coins to do it or having to commit something very expensive like a Menge or a Witchfinder or
yeah.
the Witch Hunters or Slander or Hysteria. Like that all requires setup, and if you're just throwing them out there to just give this guy big profit, then not actually benefiting off of the bounty by destroying these
Hmm.
units, then he's not
Hmm.
really a good card.
It's just I think it's expensive, the provision cost. So thinking about what you just said, where you have to include either a Witchfinder or a Kelly Manga, I would lean more towards the Witchfinder, but she's a 12 provision cost card in herself, so it's we can
Exactly.
already see the maths adding up here. Because with Caleb Menge, you have to spend, I believe it's three.
Three
Yeah, so it's
coins.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah, for every bounty that you want to place on it, and that's I would say that's costly. And that's assuming that you do have a spender on board, such as the which finder executioner, to actually make use of the bounties that you're placing. Um,
Correct.
so yeah, I mean it is a very conditional card. Again, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, um, it's good for us to speculate, but I think once in play, it might be different to what we expect. But from like as you mentioned, I totally agree with what you say. There's just a lot of conditions for this card to get its full value, plus of how expensive it is. So for me, I'm a bit, skeptical of how great this card would be.
No, yeah, it's like I would rather run a Witchfinder or a Professor over this card, to be honest. Because
Mm-hmm.
I know I can get immediate value over for those cards versus this without having to set up so many things for it to be good.
Mm. But also, it would also depend on if you were able to draw this card at the right time.
Sure.
Because if you drew it in round one, or I guess even round two, then you probably might not have had the chance to already, like, set it up properly, especially for round one. Unless you commit, your expensive cards such as Witchfinder or Caleb Menge in round one to
Yeah.
get, the bounty count up. But again, I don't know. It's a bit of a spend, and it's like if you were actually playing, the Witch Hunter archetype for your deck, it's what is your win con for round three? That's my kind of question. So you would have to ensure that this card is played in round three or in round two or wherever you want to play it to get its full value. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
because
like
of
that.
just the mm,
I'd like I just don't know just like throughout this entire expansion set just how viable bounty as an archetype can get. Even with all these new cards, like it's still may struggle to generate points because you're gonna have to be placing a lot of these bounties and then finding a way to profit off of these bounties by killing those
mm-hmm,
units. And yeah, like I can see like it's almost like they're trying to make bounty into like a control type deck,
mm-hmm.
which makes sense. But just would he get outpointed by all these other heavy point slam decks? Probably. Like Squig, Skeletal would probably easily outpoint it.
Yeah, I think with Spellitel, it's a case of trying to remove, their bronze units so that they don't set up the orbs and the carryover and all that. Whether this deck is able to do it or not, I'm not 100% sure. I just feel that there is a lot of setup involved to try and, make this legendary, the Brute card work in that
Right.
case. But, I'm looking at the Witch Hunters in front of me. The Brute's obviously the most expensive provision cost out of all the Witch Hunters. Um, I think you are able to make a, like with the provision cost in front of me, like which finder is 12, the scoundrel's 10, Morel's is 9, Graydon's 9, Kayla Menke is 8. I mean, there is potential to try and fit all these cards in there
But
for
you're gonna
them
have to
to.
give up a lot of other good cards too. Like you're gonna have to probably get rid of Boat, Bank.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. It's like you would have to just play
Professor, like you're
the
gonna
Witch
have to get
Hunter
rid of like all
archetype.
these big payoff cards. You may not even be able to
Hmm.
fit Junior actually, if you try to run all these witch hunters. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know. Like
that's, I think
we'll have
it's,
to theory craft it once it comes, once the expansion drops. But I just don't see you being able to run a full on witch hunter deck
yeah, I
without
think
having
that's
to
what
sacrifice a lot of other good cards that Syndicate is known for.
I think that's what they're possibly trying to encourage. Just to give that the bounty archetype a chance. But as you said, we'll have to wait and see what we can theory craft, and then see how it actually is against the other factions. Because we still have the other reveals. Skellige, we saw a sneak peek of, well, not a sneak peek, but they revealed 2 cards today, which you were very excited about. So we can't wait to do that episode.
Yeah, I cannot
But
wait to film that episode.
but we
Oh, that'll
also
be
we
fun.
also have yeah. I saw it this morning. I was like, oh my goodness. But we won't spoil it for the listeners. But yeah, we still have the other factions of monsters. We still have Northern Realms, so we need to see what the other cards are like and how they all interact with each other. So yeah, I think it's a case of let's wait and see. So moving on to the next card, it is a common card and it is the Savvy Huckster. He's not a witch finder. Sorry, a witch hunter. He is a human. So he's 4 points and he's a 4 provision cost. Profit 1, deploy, damage an enemy unit by 1. Bonded, increase profit and damage by 1. What are your thoughts on this card?
Uh, I mean, just base value alone, it's a 6 for 4. Um,
You don't sound so excited about it.
yeah, it's just an average 6 for 4 card. There's a lot of cards in the game that do this.
Yeah.
Or that they said that have that payoff.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going into the whole bonded thing. We've seen a lot of the other cards coming out with expansion. They're focusing on bonded. They're bringing that whole
Mm-hmm.
thing back. So 8 for 4 with bonded. That's not bad. But
Mm-hmm.
like again, it has to stay on the board for a turn for you to pull this off.
Yeah, I mean, damage an enemy unit by 1. I'm not sure. Like, I would say, yeah, this is, in my opinion, this is probably a weak card. It feels like
It's if
a
if you think about it, it's
yeah,
almost like a very crappy beggar.
yeah, yeah. It,
If
it
you, if you
it
know what
feels
beggar
like,
does.
yeah, it feels like a bronze card from like last year. If I'm being
Yeah.
completely honest. Like I didn't play last year, but when I compare the cards that came out last year that are bronze and then the ones that came out this year that are bronze, it's like there's no real comparison, is there? Other bronze
And
cards
honestly, I
that
think
came out
beggar's
this
better.
year.
I think beggar is better than this card. That's saying something. Beggar's probably
I do like the beggar.
one of
I do.
the
I,
worst
I
syndicate
include that in my
cards.
deck. Yeah, I mean, you can play
Yeah.
this card with a mushy truffle, and then you'd be able to get a third copy, I believe. I need to
Yeah.
refresh my memory of
And
mushy
then you
truffle.
could, and then it would be,
Yeah, you can spawn another one. So yeah, potentially you could want to do that if you want.
it,
But
yeah,
again,
with mushy
we were
truffle, it
talking
has the
about
potential to do 10 for 4, but because we're gonna count the
yeah,
coins profited as points.
yeah. But again, it's a case of can you fit mushy truffle into your deck alongside with the whole bounty archetype with the witch hunters.
Exactly.
That's a question. And it's like, and you just have to ask yourself, is it worth doing that? So yeah, I think that I don't have much thoughts on this card, to be honest. I wouldn't say I hate it. It's just more like I would say it's underwhelming compared to other bronze cards that have come out, in this expansion and the last expansion. I look, this card honestly feels like a bronze card. Like that is what it is. But I'm just saying, if you compare it to previous expansions when you had, the Whisperers of Dolbuthana or the Sorceress, where they're creating cards or being able to play a second special card, like that's pretty powerful if you ask me.
Yeah, it's no Blightmaker from the first set. When Blightmaker was a bronze and we saw it at its true glory of 11 for 5, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely not full. It's not going to perform like Blightmaker does. But with Syndicate, its bronzes are never really all that powerful. It's like its mid-tier golds are where it really shines.
Mm-hmm. I would say, bloody good friends. I would say that's pretty good bronze card.
Yeah, it can be, especially against AQ.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I mean, and I like the vigilantes, but again, you have to place a bounty for them to actually, do something. But I don't know. I like the
Right.
vigilantes. I have a soft spot for those, so I just find them very
He just
useful.
likes guys in Scarecrow mess, that's all.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go. She has a
uh,
type, guys. She has a type.
so moving on to
Um,
the next card.
yeah.
We have an epic card, and I'm actually really excited about this one. So it's Octavia Hale. And just quickly, if you haven't put two and two together, Octavia Hale is the Witchfinder.
Yes.
And
And what's kind of neat about this artwork too, just before we go on to the card effect, is it just me or but Octavia actually looks younger in this picture than she does in her Witchfinder art?
no, I feel like she looks younger in her Witchfinder art.
Really?
She
I'm gonna
yeah,
have
she
to look.
looks, I mean, everyone calls her granny, like grandma.
Maybe she does look
Um,
kind of younger.
but she honestly looks older in this picture. Like she actually looks like a grandma.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe she does look younger in
That's
her Witchfinder art.
I mean, I don't know. The Witchfinder artwork, she has her hair down, so I think maybe that's what's giving her a youthful vibe. But here in
Yeah, she's
this
got
in this
makeup on
artwork,
too.
she's
Granny
dressed
went
for
for a
the
stroll out in
occasion.
the town. Yeah, she's dressed. She's dressed for the occasion to go hunt down witches.
So yeah, here she's classified as a human and a witch hunter. She's 7 point. She's a 7 point card for 7 provision cost. So her abilities are deploy. So draw up to two of Octavia's sons to your hand, and then shuffle back the same number of cards. So we were talking about this card off the recording, and you you made the point that this is a good two-draw card
Yes.
because she's able. It says draw up to. So does that mean if you only want to draw up to one, you could do it?
Yeah. It's like how they fix Snowdrop and the well, I think it's Snowdrop and then also I think the leader for tactical decision. I don't know if they tweaked it, but I know Snowdrop lets you now draw up to two cards. You don't actually have to draw two cards and then shuffle them back.
I think she's
It's
in
up to, which
order,
is
right?
nice. Yeah. Well, she's in order, but yeah. Or Zeal order, but yeah.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. So you can draw up to two of Octavia's sons. Okay. So when I was looking into who are Octavia's sons, obviously the first thing that came to mind was Ignatius Hale and Fabian Hale. So I was like, okay, there's two cards already that we can draw. So just to give a quick background about the sons, we have Fabian Hale. He's 8 provision cost, 4 power, and he places a bounty. When you deploy him, places a bounty on an enemy unit. If there was already an enemy unit with bounty, gain coins equal to its base power. So you can draw him, and then you can also draw Ignatius Hale. I believe he's a new card from the last expansion, so he's a deploy
Yes.
ability as well. And damage this unit by its tribute cost. His tribute is 9, but you can cancel the deploy ability. Whenever you place a bounty on an enemy unit, reduce this unit's tribute cost by 1. So again, these cards play into the bounty archetype. I think Octavia, as you mentioned, she's great for 7 provision because you said before. I was a bit skeptical, but you pointed out to me that hey, well, you're able to draw these basically two good gold cards. If you brick something in your hand or something in your hand is not something you want, and you can get these guys into your hand. So I guess that was a good point that you made. And for 7 provision costs, yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, and like say, and like I was just talking to Spiro, or just a little bit before the podcast recording. He did also say that she also will allow you to tutor out the brute and the scoundrel.
Yes, so that was
So
something that I had missed because I hadn't realized that the scoundrel is actually Fabian Hale.
right,
So a little quick story of Fabian Hale, and when I was doing my research into him, basically the Hale family is known to be, witch hunters or witch hunters. So they have
yeah,
a
witch
passionate
hunters.
hate for witches, right? And for every witch they kill, I mean, sorry, Fabian, I'm speaking about. But see how he has a lot of tattoos on his body.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a tattoo for each kill he makes.
Ah,
So
so we
yeah,
got a what's his name from the Batman universe? I forgot his name.
I haven't really watched Batman too much. I'm sorry, so I can't help. But yeah, so
Look it
I
up
mean,
now.
yeah, Octavia is basically the matriarch of this family. So it says Octavia, together with her 2 sons, started persecuting anyone involved in magic.
Ah,
Who did you
Victor
think of?
Zsasz,
So,
Mr. Zsasz. So he's a serial killer in the Batman universe, and every time he kills one of his victims, he would get one of his knives because he would kill them with a knife, and he would basically etch it into his body, and he has like his entire body and his face is covered in knife scars,
oh god, sounds.
and it's all like and it tallies. Like he every time he gets a 5th kill, he'll go like that. He'll just write the tally over,
Oh jeez,
and
that
like
sounds
he's like
very
covered
gruesome.
in he's like covered in like from neck down, with all his victims.
Yeah. So I mean, Octavia's great. I'm just quickly thinking of if you are to try and fit these cards. So you said the brute as well. Who would the brute be? Is it Ignatius?
Ignatius.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
if
That's
look
what
at
I thought.
them, they're both pretty similar.
Yeah, yeah,
You look up Ignatius Hale.
yeah. That's what his mom tells him. Okay, yeah. So that is the brute. So the tagline says he's a slayer of all things wicked, a savior of the common folk, and a very good boy. At least that's what his mom tells him. Sounds like a mama's boy.
Yeah, Big Mama's boy. You know, he's afraid of the mom that's shorter than him.
Is that him carrying a witch in the
I
artwork?
think so. Yes, yes.
Carrying
Probably
her over
taking
his
her to be
shoulder
thrown onto the
in the
thrown onto the
fire.
fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So interestingly enough, Octavia can draw up 4 cards if you do. I don't think you'd be able to fit them all, but if you have the option of including the brute, Ignatius Hale, Fabian Hale, and also the scoundrel, and then she's able to draw them if you need. So she kind of reminds me of a Roderick in Nilfgaard. I mean, Roderick, he gives you the options of drawing 1 gold from the 2 options it gives you, so it's a 50-50. But this Octavia Hale is actually a little bit better because it means that it will show you. Well, I wonder if you like, say if you had all 4, would it show you all 4?
I would assume so.
I don't.
Yes.
Okay, so assuming you were able somehow, if you're crazy enough to fit all of the suns in your deck, then she potentially will show you 4, and then you can draw up to 2 and shuffle back 2 cards. So you don't even lose the cards. You don't discard it. You're just able to put it back. Yeah, so she's 7 provision cost and Roderick is 6 provision, but she's slightly better too because she's 7 points. Like, she's actually quite a strong card.
Yeah, for 7 P and then for 7 provisions and then 7 power. Like, pretty good if you ask me. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think there's
think.
anything bad with her.
Mm.
The
So
only thing
I
I
don't.
guess the only downside to it is like the whole entire bounty archetype has to be good. If they're planning on putting some buffs in or something, That's the only way I could see it. But if it stays as is, then I don't think it's going to be a very good archetype, even with her ability to play the cards that she can.
Mm-hmm. My next question actually was going to be, with these card reveals for Syndicate, is Bounty an archetype you would play for the next patch?
I mean, I would give it a try. I wouldn't
Don't we
not
all?
try it. Yeah,
until we
and I just
until we get our ass kicked in the games, and then you're
ranked
like,
with
I'm
it.
not playing
Yeah,
this anymore.
pro ladder. Yeah,
Look,
then
I'm
like, yeah,
willing
this
to.
is trash.
Yeah, look, I'm willing to
So,
play this too. The one.
I just theory crafted a deck. It is
Okay.
possible to fit every single one of these cards in.
Okay.
But like I said, you have to give up something very expensive to do it. And that's in the form
Mhm.
of either your bank or a Marios or whatever if you're planning on trying to keep it in the witch hunter category. But it is possible to fit all these cards.
So, what leader would you play with the bounty archetype? Which would be the best one?
I would assume it would probably be Ignatius, or not Ignatius, but Blood Money, maybe off the books because it makes your tributes a
Mhm.
little bit less.
Mhm.
So it would make your gradient only worth four coins instead of five.
Okay.
Um, but Blood Money off the books, and I'm maybe would say Line Pockets as usual, just with a bunch of crimes. You do want to try to go full on bounty.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty much probably the best thing that you could do.
At least there's a couple options there that could potentially work. In your opinion, do you think the new set of cards will help players, explore? I mean, we all know everyone's going to try it, but would it trump the current line pockets meta? That's my question.
No, I don't think so. I think people are gonna stick to they're gonna stick to what actually works before trying something that's experimental and may not work. Uh, I don't think, like I said, there's just enough support or strength for points for this entire archetype to be good. Bounty as a whole is all full on bounty just never really works.
Mm.
Um, in line pockets is just better. Ground splitters are more viable. You have Cleaver, which is insane for the card that or what he can do. Drill, we already know it's a busted card. Like Drill alone probably plays for more points than all these four cards put together in this new patch.
Yeah. I know. Even
So
with the
it's like,
brute, it's just like I'm thinking of drill 7 provision cost, and then you compare it to a card like brute with 13 provision. It's like, I mean, I can't even explain, but like just with drill, if you put it in between the two crown slitters, it's like bye bye to the opponent.
yeah, wipe your board, something that this card can't do.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
yeah, I
Look,
mean, I think it'll be fun just to try, a different type of syndicate out. I think it'll be fun, but I don't know if it's something that's going to be, played on pro ladder a lot unless it's something you're trying to meme with.
yeah. Look, the card that I'm probably most excited about is Octavia Hale and Purge. I like those two. The other two cards, Savvy Huckster and the Brute, I'm not so excited about. Like I'm still, I would be, willing to try these decks, see how viable we can make Bounty as an
Mm.
archetype. But as you mentioned, I don't know. I think until they probably nerf Drill the line pockets, and I don't think anything changes for the next patch.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen so many people will say, okay, drill busted, full bank drills playing for 20 plus points most of the time.
Mm, mm,
A lot of
yeah.
people want drill to get probably nerfed and go up at least to a 9 provision card.
Mm-hmm.
8 to a 9 provision card probably is where it should sit. I don't think when it first got nerfed originally it was only worth 6, and then they bumped it up to a 7.
Okay.
Uh, I think it still needs to go up even more, but I guess we'll find
If
out
they
if
put
that's
it up
something that they
to,
plan on doing.
yeah, if they put it up to a 9, it would make it harder to fit both, Horser Junior and Freak Show, which is what it's
Yeah,
pretty much the trifecta of what's wiping out boards. If you have Freak Show, Horson Junior, and then Drill, it's very difficult for your opponent. And also because these cards are pretty much a deployability, so that like once they're played, there's absolutely nothing you can really do until your next turn.
yeah, like you just have to sit there and just take that stomp. And there's
Yeah,
nothing you can do. The only way that drill probably gets answered right away is against a trap deck, and that's if their opponent falls into it.
yeah.
I think
So
that's probably the only time that drill will ever not be able to just wipe your board out before it gets to get played.
yeah, we'll have to just wait and see if they do any nerfs in the next patch. I mean that yeah, as you mentioned, like a lot of people have said that drill needs a nerf, but I guess if you're playing drill, you would love it. If you are the receiving side, it's not as fun. I mean, I personally I have a lot of post traumatic stress when I hear the when it comes down. So, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see for the next patch. But I think the bounty archetype, it's not something I've played with before. I don't play much Syndicate either. But I think these cards might improve it. But again, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, like I said, we'll wait and see. We only have what I believe a week. It
Yeah,
comes out on the 5th.
October 5th. So not long
Yeah,
now.
so we have pretty much a
So
week from today.
yeah. So the next time we will be appearing on our episode, we will be talking about Skellige, which is your favorite faction, Ezra's.
Yeah, we go. Can't wait. That is
So
the
we've already
episode I
seen
am going to bring everything with.
we've already seen 2 cards come out. So we're waiting. I think it's going to happen today. Well, it's morning for me. It's evening for you. So it'll probably happen overnight for you. But we'll probably see the two cards come out today. And we'll be talking about Skellige next. So can't wait for that.